The architecture and design industry is on the verge of a software revolution. There is a new wave of AI tools that are reshaping the way we work each and every day. But there are so many tools that you can choose from. How do you actually know which ones are going to work the best for you? Well, since there's not one tool that's going to fit all your needs, in this video, I'm going to go over the 8 best AI tools in the AEC industry and break those down into 5 categories: rendering, video, floor plans, technical, and 3D modeling. The first category is rendering, starting with Render. Render is an AI rendering software that is built for architects. So here's an example of bringing in some line work of an office building. And then you bring it into Render, type in a prompt, and it gives you the office building, and then it also creates some context. But you can do the same thing with a 3D model screenshot of an interior space. And once you've generated it, it almost looks like a real photograph. But like we mentioned before, you can also edit your images. You can test out different materials, but let's actually test it out so you can get a sense of how it works and not just show the perfect images that have been created by the content team. I want to create a rendering of, let's go with like a mid-century design. So I want a mid-century style house, but I'm at a loss for what other context I can add. So if you can't think of anything, you can use the prompt assistant tool and you can generate a prompt very quickly. So just like that, I'll apply this prompt. It gave us some more detail. So we're going for a single story with a flat roof, some large horizontal windows, and it goes into even more detail. And then you can adjust the creativity. I'd say something around 60 to 70 is healthy, and add any references that you would like. And then you can adjust the aspect ratio and the number of generations. But let's go. So this is the result we got from what once was a mid-century modern house to something more intricate and detailed. So this is our initial result. But there's another feature that I'd like to check out, which is the chat feature within Render. So I brought in this screenshot of a 3D model and then had a prompt for an interior living room with an industrial apartment loft style with metal, concrete. And so this was the image that it created. We can also go side by side of what we originally had. So this was the 3D model screenshot. And then as you see, there are some inconsistencies with maybe the level of where the furniture is and the windows split a little bit. But for the most part, it nailed it down right, giving us a high quality lighting as well as materials and layout of the space. I mean, it looks really good. And obviously there are some imperfections, but for what we're trying to do right now, just kind of show off Render, I think that's quite a good result. But like I mentioned before, there's other ways to create within Render. So you can do text to render, 3D base model to render like we just did, bring in an existing image and render that with more detail or some variations. You use an elevation and render that, bring in a sketch and render, or do variations of a rendering. And that's just the baseline of what you can do. But we're just getting started with what you can create through image generation using AI. Next up is a tool called Arch Synth. It's similar to Render because it's a multifaceted tool. So for instance, it allows you to create renderings in seconds, but you can also create any image into 3D models. It allows you to convert images into CAD drawings, and those last 2 are things you cannot do in Render. You can also create renderings based on a mood board or a style reference. So let's say you have like a 3D model screenshot of an interior space and then a mood board. You can combine those and create a rendering, and many more features as well. Here are some of the results that people have used to create images in Arch Sync. So this was a 3D model screenshot, and then they created a rendering, as well as this looks like it was an interior scene that was created. And if you want a more comprehensive breakdown and you want to try out Arch Synth today, I'll make sure to leave all the links in the description for the tools that I'm using. All right, now you have the best tools to generate realistic images using AI. What if you wanted to transform those images into videos? That is where the next category will begin, creating videos using AI. We'll start with a bonus feature because we can actually use the image that we created in Render and bring it in to their image to video software tool. I have a base 3D model screenshot and then one of the images that I've created in Render. And I wanted to create like a transition from what it started out as to the final rendering. And so this is the result. And so the whole image starts to come together just slowly with a nice easy transition, but this can be nice when you're wanting to show before and afters for an image. But I also created this other video where I have an aerial shot of this building and I'm doing like somewhat of a drone rotation around Let's run that again. So you can see the traffic, some cars are moving, and the sky as well. We see some shadows. Obviously some imperfections, just like anything with AI, but still a pretty cool way to use it. Let's move on to the next tool, which is Sora AI. So in Sora, I'm gonna go ahead and do a little bit more than just creating a video. You can start to storyboard your ideas and create multiple scenes and bring them together. And so I'm going to start with the beginning of an architect sketching out his ideas and then building a scale model, moving to the computer and then having them walk the blank site holding the blueprints, and then show the construction of the building being put together, and then finally concluding with everyone coming in and celebrating the completion of the museum. So I'll go ahead and you can select the orientation, the duration as well. And here is the final result of what we created.
It starts with a line, a thought about how light might fall across a room. Then the ideas find shape, first in my hands, then on the screen. Out here, it's all possibility, just soil and sky and what could be.
Wow. So from that storyboard of AI videos, it compiled it and put together this. I mean, that's pretty remarkable. I know the cohesiveness of the building throughout is not perfect. It's pretty darn close from phase to phase in what it's showing, which I think is pretty cool. Now, I think it's more of a fun tool at the moment, but I think Sora is definitely one of the best video rendering tools out there when it comes to AI. If you're looking for one of the best all-around AI tools, you're gonna wanna check out Flux AI. Now, that being said, it can also be extremely overwhelming because as you see, we go to the AI images tab and there are so many different options to select from. This can be a good thing because there's a lot more things that you can do. For instance, they have editing tools, upscaling, enhancing, tools that allow you to change the background, remove objects. But because it has all these resources, it makes it great for you to test out and just have fun. But for this portion of the video, we're going to focus on the AI videos and the AI modeling. So we already worked with Sora AI, but it also includes some other popular AI video generators like Google's VO3 and then Kling AI as well. And so if you were to go in and click and generate, you can either generate from image to video or text to video. And so you'll type in a prompt and then you can also add in the reference image that you need. And the same goes for the other platforms like Kling AI. Type in a prompt, drag an image, and create a video. This is just a surface level overview of what Flux has to offer. The next category we're going to get into is AI floor plan generation. And we're going to start by using Snaps, which is an AI generation tool where you can create floor plans from text prompts, which sounds super easy and is super great because not only does it allow you to generate AI floor plans, but you can transform those floor plans from 2D to 3D realistic renderings with those spaces, as well as you can use the asset library to drag and drop library assets and use them and apply them to your floor plans. So without further ado, let's hop into Snaps. So first of all, the best way to get started is draw a frame serving as kind of the baseline of where your floor plans are going to go. I'm going to click on a rectangle to give the rough size of the floor plan. So it has real dimensions. It'll be about 8 meters by 5 meters is the sizing. So I'll select the rectangle and I'm just going to go for a 2-bedroom apartment. And within a couple seconds, it generates instant results. Now, as you can see, there are some inconsistencies with what was created, but the nice thing about Snaps is that isn't an issue because it allows you to be flexible and adjust the parameters to figure out what you need, just like typical 3D modeling and BIM softwares. But what's nice is we can go to the left-hand toolbar and start to place furniture into the space. So I'm gonna have this dining room table. I also feel like the kitchen needs to be opened up a little bit more, so I'll delete those spaces. Let's go and add this sofa. Now that we've added this 2D furniture, I'm gonna take it to the next level and generate a few more floor plans. So just like that, I've generated 1 more floor plan, 2 more floor plans, and 3 more floor plans. So for this bedroom, I'm going to place a bed over probably in the middle of the space right here. So I'll have to move this window over to the side. And now that we have some furniture within the space, we can go ahead and create a camera, pick the angle that we want, and create a rendering. So I have the camera selected. I'll toggle on to rendering and then type in a prompt for bedroom in a New York City apartment in a modern style. So I'll go ahead and submit that. And so then that'll create nodes based on what we have created. So I've created a couple different renderings here in different styles. This is the rendering of the living room in a modern style, but we also created one of this bedroom space up here as well. So creating AI floor plans has never been easier, especially if you're using Snap. And if you want to transform those floor plans into 3D renderings, this is the perfect tool that allows you to not only create realistic renderings, but renderings that are mathematically precise within the dimensions and also the furniture and the context that you have. If you want to try out Snaps today, click on the link in the description to try it for free and have 600 free credits. Next up is Architectures, and it's an AI-powered building design tool which helps you generate building designs for architects and real estate developers in real time. So let's check out kind of how it works together. The reason I chose this platform is it's very intuitive and it's extremely data-driven. So it's not just like any AI hypothetical design of a floor plan. It's driven by data that gives you tangible outputs and allows you to adjust sliders based on presets, typologies, interfaces, and quantities. So it's great for developing several floor plan layouts of like an office building or an apartment and starting to compile data on things like that. And as you can see here in this representation, they're using the sliders to adjust the rooms and the different spaces within the apartment. And then in this iteration, it's giving various options for the apartment layouts, giving different corridor structures as well as the quantity and sizing of each apartment. But it's very tangible because it can also do things like cost estimation and also design parking garage and just parking layouts. Because who wants to design parking layouts and actually enjoys it? Let's give it to AI to start to automate those things that don't require a lot of effort, but take a lot of time. So if you want to check out Architectures, this floor plan and design iteration generation tool, I'll leave the link in the description below. We're halfway done, and not only do you know the best AI image generators, but you also know how to convert those images into videos. And if you want access to my personal list with even more AI tools, make sure you click the first link in the description. But we're not done yet because we still have the technical tools, starting with Upcodes. Upcode is an AI-powered building code compliant tool that searches and interprets construction codes instantly. It helps you verify code requirements and avoid costly design mistakes before construction. These are some of the industry leaders that use Upcode currently. So it has a unified library of codes, assemblies, and products, which allow easy access for you because codes can get very complicated, especially when you're unfamiliar with the new codes. So you can leverage Copilot to understand, interpret, and apply the compliance requirements for consistency and accuracy in your project. But you can also search across millions of code sections for exactly what you need. So Upcode allows you to streamline code and product research in one platform, which is really nice because you don't want to have to go between platforms for different code resources. In addition, I think what's the most important is not only does it help you find the code that you need, but helps you interpret the requirements to see how they apply to what you were working on. So some of the other features include code accuracy. So when you're doing research for AHJs and code analysis, but it looks like they also have a code calculator, which helps determine the code requirements and build accurate reports. So here's some of the examples of how you can start to leverage Upcode's resources for your projects. Now, TestFit is a very unique platform and there's not many like it. TestFit uses AI to generate site feasibility studies and massing options in minutes. Not only does it analyze your site for constraints, but it automatically creates optimized layouts for residential and commercial projects. I find it extremely helpful for parking, but it can also be used in multifamily, single family, industrial, data centers, retail, and a hotel. As you can see here, you can start to mess with the floor plate and the massing of your multifamily plan. So you're kind of adjusting where you have that void and then the space around it starts to develop. So then that can transform into how you lay out the sites, how you start to place the units and have the units in different standards, as well as it also brings into account the cost modeling. So the land cost, the soft and the hard costs, as well as, how many units and the ratio to the overall building. So I think TestFit, as it continues to develop, is going to be an amazing resource for architects, contractors, engineers, and developers, because it allows you to test out ideas quickly with data-driven design. So as you can see here for this data center, it's generating design options with energy availability. So it's kind of taking into account many different factors and multiple data sources when creating these outputs. So far, we found the best AI tools for creating renderings, videos for technical applications like code and programming. But I saved the best category for last, which is 3D modeling. Every architect and designer will agree that the 3D modeling process takes the most amount of time. Now, I will be honest, there aren't any tools out there that can transform your sketches or your images into 3D models quite yet, but you're still able to save a vast amount of time with things like furniture and more custom assets when you use these next two AI tools that convert text to 3D model. So we'll start with SKOOL AI, which is a very easy way to create 3D models from a text prompt. So these are some of the examples that you can do. You can generate from a text prompt and you can generate from an existing image. So we're just going to start off easy and generate from a text prompt. All I'm going to include in the prompt is Eames chair. And so that's the result I want. I just want to see if it clearly understands how to make furniture. And that's a very popular furniture element, so it should have enough references to base it off of. But let's see the results. So this is the 3D model of the Eames chair that we got using SKOOL AI. So, I wouldn't even imagine how long this would have taken me to model myself. I think it would definitely pass in a rendering if you just needed a quick 3D asset of an Eames chair. And I think this can apply to several different instances, whether it's objects, furniture, or other assets. Now, this won't apply as effectively and flawlessly when you're trying to design buildings. Meshy.ai is another great text to 3D model generation tool. And let's go explore some of the use cases with Meshy, because it doesn't just apply to the architecture and design industry. It's also used for game development, product design, and other fields. So you can do things like furniture. And I think that's one of the easiest ways right now that we can use AI in 3D modeling, because it can be hard to do buildings gathering 4 sides with extreme detail. But with furniture assets, it's something a little bit more tangible. Another way you can use this is creating small 3D scenes. So you can see here in the bottom left corner, there's this interior space, and it's providing different styles of the interior space as well. So let's go ahead and try to create something. Let's start out with text to 3D. Let's go for a dining room table, but let's do like a wood grain with an epoxy fill. And as you can see, previously I had created the Roman Colosseum as a 3D model. It does a pretty good job of getting the general shape, but as you can see, the detail is lacking and there's a lot of disformed areas of the space. So it's definitely making progress in doing 3D buildings, but it's still a long way. It can be great for importing these into the background of your renderings or your 3D models as context, but not super close where you need a lot of detail. So here we go. It creates it without the texture, and you can see the little river in between. And so this is a nice little dining table. Now we can go down below and then click the texture button, and we'll go ahead and then add texture. So that is 10 more credits, but it's the next step. Once you've kind of figured out the 3D model that you want, you can start to create and add textures to give it more realism, so then you can bring it in to your models. Okay, now that the materials have been generated, let's go and check it out. So we have the wood grain, and I'm starting to see the epoxy. Okay, so it didn't quite pick up and put the epoxy in that river location. It just kind of split it down the middle. And honestly, I'm fairly surprised that it even included the epoxy in the texture. And it looks pretty real, but it's not accurately depicted in what I was wanting. So it's definitely a good tool to start testing things out, but it's not all the way there where you can start using it for final production when you want to get super detailed and customized, but it's probably better for more basic results. So if we were just going for a generic wood table or a sofa with maybe 1 or 2 materials, if you start to get more complex you'll get things like this where it's close but not quite what you want. We just covered 8 AI tools that can completely transform your workflow. Thank you guys for watching and welcome to the grind.